Hi, I'm Shoshanna.
And I'm Holly, and you're listening to Future Talent Talks, a podcast that talks about all things early careers,
Gen A to Z, stereotypes, social and societal trends, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode, and it's not just any old episode.
No.
It's episode 10, which is going to be wrapping up our season 1 of this podcast, which is very, very exciting. Before we go into it,
let's explain our long break. We've had a few weeks where we haven't posted because we've been booked and busy, and we've had a few different things happen with guests.
Tube
we
strikes,
were meant to have a guest.
Tube strikes as well. We were
Tube
meant to have guests and
loads of different things happening behind the scenes.
yes, but we are back to end the season out on
Yeah.
high, which is very exciting. But I think first, before we do that, should we maybe have a little bit of a catch up?
So
Because this is the first time we've seen each other for
True.
ages as well, and we've barely had a catch up.
I know. So what's been happening in your world then? You've been doing loads.
Yeah, I have been doing loads, but I can't even remember anything.
I know, right?
Ask the question. I've definitely been doing stuff.
Do you know what? I always have that, and the thing that I do to remind myself is I look back on my camera roll.
Oh yeah,
and
I
then
don't even know
remind
if I've been
myself
taking.
what I've done.
Yeah, well, first of all, I got engaged. Not wearing the ring today because I forgot
Have
to
we
put
not
it on.
spoken about that on a podcast?
Yeah, on the one that we did with Arctic Shores.
Yeah, but not ours.
No.
Oh god.
I've not
been
been
that long.
We've not recorded since.
Been that long. Shoshana went and got engaged.
Yeah, so I got engaged in Cornwall, which was lovely. I passed my driving test as well.
Oh my god, yeah, you've actually had so many things happen.
I just honestly, I think I've been just like hashing on with work pieces, delivering my workshops and training programs at different organisations to like their early careers cohorts, and also some of the line manager development stuff, but also I've been really kind of refining my messaging as we got lots of great feedback from this podcast. And one of the main pieces of feedback I got was that people weren't actually 100% sure what I did. So I've spent a good while refining my messaging to really hone in on what I'm doing. And also I'm working on a new kind of product which merges together lots of the in-person training I'm doing, which I'm going to be releasing in 2025, so I'm really, really excited. I don't think there's anything else out there like this. And so yeah, I've just been delivering but also kind of working on the business. Now I know you've been doing loads of stuff. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm the same. I'm like, yeah, I've been so busy, but the only thing that really stands out is just I've been here, there and everywhere with different employers, just shooting and getting TikTok content basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of that's going to be coming out on my TikTok soon.
Yeah.
But essentially with one of the big four. Also Amazon content, which is on my TikTok.
And you had all the City Century events as
all
well.
All the City Century events, yeah. For those of you that don't know, City Century are basically championing solicitor apprenticeships. They're a group of over 50 London-based law firms to do that. And they had loads of in-person events across. It was London, Manchester and Newcastle that I was at. What else have I done? I've got 2 shoots this week, actually.
Nice.
That's it really, to be honest. Just planning some bits for 2025. Oh, I was also with my client NAS Media, the National Apprenticeship Show.
Yes, you've been doing loads.
And the National School and College Leaver Fest.
It's so hard to actually think. Well, I was with Beasley. Oh, to be fair, I've been freaking ill for the past 2 weeks. I've had a really bad stomach infection.
yeah.
So, but before that, I was with one of my clients, Beasley's. It's so hard to remember. I did some stuff with the Civil Service Fast Stream. I've been working a little bit with PwC on a campaign. So yeah, there's lots been going on, and today is actually a very exciting day for us. We're not only wrapping up the podcast, but we are having our Christmas Day, which is so exciting. Yes, literally. Obviously, when you run your own business, especially if you don't have a big team surrounding you, it can feel a little bit lonely, and I do kind of miss some of the Christmas festivities. So basically, Holly and I are having a whole day together. After this, we're going to do a little bit of co-working. Then we've booked, I'm so excited.
I know, right?
We've booked a Christmas afternoon tea. Oh my God, it's going to be freaking amazing. And then we've also booked to go to a Christmas party for specifically for business owners, where we're going to network and meet lots of other people. And I went last year and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm very much excited. Yes, I went last year. And I think the year before I'd been to 2 of them.
Oh, nice. Side
Yeah.
note though, we are very lucky to be friends with each other because
Yes.
otherwise, like you say, we don't have a team yet,
Mhm.
so it would be so lonely at Christmas.
I know.
But we're so lucky to be
Yeah.
able to do stuff like this together.
Exactly, and also you've got exciting things as well. You're going on a big trip.
Oh,
Holly,
yeah. That
Holly.
I've booked. That haven't.
I'm literally so proud of Holly. Honestly, she's
Oh,
like
God.
stepped out of her comfort zone. Do you want me to talk about this or not?
Yeah,
She
fine.
stepped out of her comfort zone and she's booked a trip to Thailand on freaking New Year's Eve. So are you
my God.
traveling? Are you on the plane on New Year's Eve?
No, I'm on. So I leave on the 30th.
So you
And then I
arrive on
land
New Year's Eve.
and then I can party.
So
the
Holly is
year
literally
end.
going to be party up in Thailand on you. I mean, you're not much for a party
No.
animal, are you? But you know,
No.
sensibly living her best life as much as she can, and you're going on like a kind of
I know.
group trip for, is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2
I won't
weeks.
lie, I haven't really deeped it yet. Like, it actually doesn't feel real. But recently I've had a few moments where I've been like, oh, I'm actually doing this. I can't pull out.
I kind of low-key forced Holly to book a trip. I was like, you need a break and you need to meet some new people, so
From
do
like
it.
August onwards, you've been chomping at the bit. You've been like, you need time off, book time off, don't work, do something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've finally done it. I've took the plunge.
So you've got that for 2 weeks, and then
I'll keep you guys updated on LinkedIn, see how it works.
And then afterwards, you're seeing what happens.
What do you mean?
Well, you might be. You're gonna. I think you're off in January, aren't you? So you're
Yeah.
gonna be maybe heading to. Did you say like Bali potentially afterwards or something?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm just gonna see how it is because I might meet some people that might go on to another country. I don't know.
I'm sure you will. There's always people on those type of trips that
Yeah.
are like traveling on afterwards.
True.
Don't bloody come home though. Take the full month off, Holly.
Really?
Take the full month off. Don't come. I mean, if you really feel like you want to come home, but I think it's important that you take. I mean, you've not booked anything for January, have you?
No, but I might potentially have to book something. I know.
This is what I mean. The excuses come in, and this is why you don't take time off.
But the 2 week, right, this is still progress for me because the 2 weeks, they are no work. Like, being deadly serious, like, that is 2 weeks off. I haven't had 2 full weeks off in years.
So I think this means you're not bringing your work phone, you're deleting your email
Well,
app.
I don't.
You need to be doing
I don't have a
everything.
I don't
Yeah,
have a
you do.
work
Your
phone.
content phone, don't you?
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything on it. So this
Well,
has got all my.
Well, you need to tell all your
I'll just
clients.
block everyone for a
You
month.
need to tell
and then
all your
I'll block them.
clients that you're not going to be
No,
available.
I will. Don't worry. If you're watching this and you're my client,
Don't contact me in
yeah,
January.
don't contact me in January.
And yeah, I'm here in January, but I'm basically pretty much off for most of February because I'm going to Japan, which I'm very excited about.
I can't wait for that.
So, without further ado, shall we just
get into it,
Yeah,
shall
let's
we?
get into it. Do you want to do a quick walkthrough of the chapters? So, as we
Yeah.
said, today is going to be a wrap up episode. So it's going to be short and sweet.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be summarising some of our favourite moments from the season, some of our best learnings. And yeah, hopefully it can encourage you to kind of have a think about everything you've learnt this season and also have a think about your favourite moments as well.
Thanks for that. So, chapter summary. As always, we have 4 chapters. Chapter 1 is just a bit of a recap summary. We're looking back at the season. We'll talk about our highlights, top moments, etc. Chapter 2 is, again, summary, but this time we're going to speak about the best tips and advice that we have either spoken about or we've come across from guests of the season. Chapter number 3 is a bit of a fun chapter. It's like a fun and games chapter. It is basically going to be rapid fire questions, and we're going to answer some things that allow us to reflect back on the season. And then chapter 4 is all about what's next, what you can expect from us in 2025, and the potential future of this. So, shall we get into chapter 1 then?
Yes. First, let's take a look back at season 1. We've spoken about a whole range of topics, starting with things you need to cover with graduates and apprentices in their first 30 days, touching upon, the not always thought about things like managing their mental health, managing finances, anxiety, as well as the kind of normal workplace etiquette things. We also spoke about rejection and how the way you are rejecting impacts your brand, not only from a brand perspective, but also from a candidate perspective. So we spoke about the importance of effectively delivering rejections and how to deliver them in a not so brutal way.
We also spoke about TikTok and if it's actually worth it to promote early career schemes. Within that, we touched upon What did we touch upon?
You're
I'm
the
not having a
TikTok
blank
expert,
moment.
babe.
I know.
I think we just spoke about general top tips, misconceptions that lots of employers have
That's
around
it.
TikTok.
We also showed some examples
Yes.
of what young people are being fed on social media. And I think we also spoke about how to in terms of video content, like what is best practices, etc., like you said. And also we covered AI and how and why young people are actually using AI. So we spoke about as well our opinions on it and if we thought it leveled the playing field. By the way, on that, we have recently just recorded an episode with Arctic Shores where we basically spoke about AI with the founder Robert, and Robert was giving some really great, not advice, what would you call it?
We were just basically delving into a little bit more our thoughts on AI and whether it levels the playing field and how employers can, AI proof or at least embrace AI as part of their recruitment processes. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, because I believe by the time you're listening to this, it will now be live, go check that out. Go check that out and let us know what you think. And obviously that's not an exhaustive list of every episode we did. That's kind of just a summary.
And here are some of our favourite moments from the season. So welcome to the first episode, all about us.
Yeah, oh my God. So we've had some amazing messages and feedback.
Okay,
Let's
well,
start with
me.
you, Miss Hobbs.
Okay.
Miss Hobbs, what are your points? And I'm going to be
Right.
like, no, I do not agree.
Welcome back.
We regret to inform you
Yeah.
that you've not been successful on this team. But here's a photo of the recruitment team smiling at you and waving at you.
Hello,
Welcome to the
people.
pod.
Yeah.
So my top tip would be to go and watch our podcast on TikTok Attraction.
Well,
I got there first.
Yeah.
Insane. No, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God, I feel like this podcast is just going to be like us hyping each other
Yeah.
up. And I love that. So we hope you enjoyed that overview as much as we did. Holly, I've got a couple questions for you now. So what was your favourite episode of the season?
Obviously, for me, like I did really enjoy the TikTok one, obviously, because that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. But I also enjoyed the Q&A. I really liked that. And no, maybe it was the Q&A. The Q&A one I liked because I think we got into a bit of a debate about giving candidates questions. We spoke about our debate. I really enjoyed that. And then obviously the one with Stephen was good as well.
Oh yeah.
Because personally I hadn't actually met him in person as well, and I thought, yeah, he had some great points to say. So I really enjoyed those, I would say. AI was good as well. I can't pick, basically.
It is really hard. I found them really interesting. If I have to pick my favourite, and this is just me being biased, but I think episode 1, the Get to Know Us episode.
Oh my God, I loved that as well.
Because we just really got to speak freely about, it wasn't even about a particular topic, it was kind of about why we're doing this and like why we're working together and like why we get on, and it was kind of just, obviously we both already knew those things, but it was kind of just nice to share them and then put them out in the open. So I think the Getting to Know Us episode was my favourite.
That one got such good response and feedback.
And I also, off topic, I feel like this one is like a similar vibe because it's like, remember that first episode where it's like we weren't overthinking it, we were just having a conversation.
Hey, Holly here, just interrupting this episode to let you know about one of the main ways that I work with employers. As an employer branding strategist, creating standout campaigns to help you attract new apprentices via social media. If this resonates with you or you're interested, connect with me via LinkedIn and fill out the contact form linked in my profile. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
So I think definitely the Get to Know Me episode was my favourite, and then I also really enjoyed the how you deliver rejection is impacting your employer brand. I got lots of, that's actually one of our best performing episodes, and I've had lots of interesting thoughts and feedback from it, as well as the things you need to cover with grads and apprentices in their first 30 days, as that's very much within my remit. So I feel like I had lots to say for that one. But what was your favourite episode? We'd love to know. Shoot us a message or email or drop a comment below if you're listening or watching on YouTube. We'd love to know what your favourite episode has been of this season. And I think also another main takeaway before we move on to chapter 2 is we've literally learned so much.
So much. Can I speak about one of the biggest learnings for me?
Yeah, so yeah, in a second, Holly. Okay. But yeah, I mean, yeah, go for it. What are some of your biggest learnings from the process?
Okay, so
these can be like general learning.
Yeah, one of the things that is quite funny for us, Well, so the biggest learning I think from me was that you shouldn't over prepare. Me and Shoshanna basically had one episode of the season where we filmed it and it was absolutely diabolical because we were literally, we'd scripted pretty much everything and we just kept referring to it. We couldn't get in flow, like we weren't having a proper conversation, and you could really tell. We both finished it, we were like, that was so bad, and we had to redo the episode.
We basically just came to the conclusion that we're actually born naturals and we don't need to script
Yeah.
things. It comes out best when we're actually in our natural flow.
I agree. So that's been the biggest lesson for me, is just don't over prepare, like don't script things, because at the end of the day, like we practice this stuff every single day. We know what we're talking about. And so it's already in there. And so yeah, don't over prepare.
Yeah, so
for
true.
a podcast.
So true. I think for me, one of my biggest learnings has just been like the time and effort that's actually involved in producing a podcast, because from the outside, obviously as a listener or watcher, you just see the finished product. But obviously before Holly and I created this this podcast, we had to come up with a brand name, we had to come up with an episode content calendar, we have to map out the chapters for every episode, we have to come in and physically film it, it then all gets edited, we then have to chop up all the social clips, we then have to promote it, and it is actually a lot of work. And I don't think either of us necessarily, I mean, we knew it would be work, but we didn't necessarily realise the time investment that it would be. So I think that's been a big learning for me. And also just some of the technicalities, like we've had situations where we've come in and we've recorded like 2 episodes and hadn't realised that the camera had switched off halfway through.
Still on now.
So in one of our episodes, I think we didn't even end up having any video because my camera turned off. So all we ended up with was just the camera on Holly for like an hour. And I was just like, for God's sake.
I know.
So I think
we've learned a hell of a lot. Do you know what though? It's like, you don't learn unless you make a mistake. So actually recently, like literally on Saturday, I got my notes app up, and I made a whole list of mistakes I made this year.
Really?
And do you know what? I've actually made it a bit more of a continuous practice for me to write down my mistakes, because, not being funny, but sometimes I feel a bit proud of them, because it's like,
yeah, you should.
These things actually make me learn, although it's shit sometimes. Like that's the only thing that you learn from. Definitely. And so it's good for us to speak about like our mistakes and our f-ups and our failures or whatever.
Interested to see your list.
Okay. Maybe I'll share it with you.
I feel like I know some of them already.
Really?
Yeah. I think for me, it's also been really hard to just, I mean, not what to talk about. We've had loads of things to talk about and that we still could talk about. We've got a whole list of things. But I think also it's like, I still struggle with like navigating the early careers, like calendar, because every person I speak to in early careers, it genuinely seems like they are non-stop for the whole year round. Like you think, oh, okay, like hiring's finished, there's going to be time. And it's like, no, then it's like they're preparing to bring on the new starters. And it's almost just like everyone's so busy. How can you break through that noise? When is the right time to actually put content out there, and how can you make it tailored? Because as a whole, most organisations have like similar timeframes, but everyone's slightly different. So I think for me, that's still a bit confusing. I don't know if you get that
hopefully.
either.
So I
guess yours is mainly an attraction, so it's like you specifically know your work. Yeah. But then still, some employers hire year round for apprenticeships.
I know. I feel like I'm a bit more clear now, but if someone's watching and can give their perspective, that'd be great.
Because every person I speak to, I'm just like, do you ever have any downtime? And they're like, no, not really.
I know.
Sometimes at the beginning of summer, but no, not really.
But also, I think as well, you have to think internally, they'll be doing different projects as well.
Yeah.
Aside from their recruitment, they'll be doing projects in order to help that phase or to help the development, whatever. So that's probably why. Anyway, ultimately, we have learned a beep ton.
Any learnings about working for Trevor? Yeah, I've learned some things about you.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, to be fair, I knew these things anyway. But like, you just say yes to too many things, and then you get stressed, and then you're like, what do I do? And then
I know.
Yeah, so I've had to keep you in check sometimes. I'm just like, no, Holly, this needs to be done. You've committed to doing this.
True.
It's not my fault. You've said yes to many other things. You have to.
That's very true.
So, but I think that's just normal. Everyone's guilty of that to a certain extent.
As well, it's hard when you're growing your business because, you know, to be transparent and clear, you need cash in order to do things. So it's like, Yeah. Anyway, appreciate that though. Thanks for that. I'll
Anything
take that on
about-
board. Another
anything
one of
about
my
me?
mistakes this year.
No. Anything about me? Roast me.
Anything about? Do you know what? I have learned that you are very organised, which is good. Anything constructive? I don't know.
I'm just perfect.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm gonna need to have a think.
Okay. Get back to me.
Yeah, I'll get back to
But
you.
I think in general, I do actually enjoy working with you.
Yeah.
So I'm always very like, because obviously like we were friends first. So I'm
Yeah.
always very, personally for me, I'm very conscious about getting into any type of professional relationship with anyone
Yeah.
I'm like close to, because it
Yeah.
just cannot end well. But I do actually enjoy working with
Same.
you, and I feel like we're good enough friends to like tell each other like if something isn't working, or like
100%.
if we're pissing each other off,
Yeah.
etc. So it's like, yeah, there's not been any nasty surprises, which is good. But yeah, like
good.
I wouldn't just do this with anyone, and I know you're the same thing as well. Like you wouldn't just agree to a podcast with anyone. So
I'm very picky.
yes, same. Okay, so
I'll get back to you on that.
now, okay, we've got 22 minutes left. Now,
Yeah.
let's move on to chapter
2.
2. So, Holly, what do you think some of our best tips and advice of the season have been?
Okay, best tips and advice of the season. There's so many, essentially. Well, we had the head of early careers at Gymshark repost one of our episodes.
Yeah, thanks, Rhoda, for reposting.
Yeah.
This was on LinkedIn, by the way.
I just don't know. Like I can't pick.
We got our first press feature.
Yeah.
Obviously, these aren't tips, but these are just
No.
wins.
Right. So some of the best tips of this season then. AI episode, great. I think that receives really great feedback, and I think one of the most key things was learn about it yourself, be a user of it, and also don't sit on the fence. That was a really key thing. And then we had the TikTok episode around like how to position things that you're actually already doing, so like on your website, videos, etc. You don't even have to have TikTok, but in that episode we still spoke about how you can customize or make things that you're already doing better. So that's things like reminding you that people don't care about your brand, like they want to know what's in it for them, how to position your videos, like hooks, all those types of things, which I think were really, really great. What about you?
And also the best practices, you said kind of what you just said before, but like you don't even need to have TikTok, just general best practices for creating videos. And then also we actually spoke about how to utilize TikTok if you don't have a TikTok account, or you're not allowed to have a TikTok account.
Not being funny, but that episode was goldmine.
Yeah,
it's full of gold.
So if you haven't listened to it,
No.
please, if you haven't listened to it yet, I recommend checking it out. There are so many gems in there. Even if you know you're not allowed to use TikTok at your company, there's loads of just general content creation, video creation, how to leverage TikTok if you're not allowed to have an account. So definitely go and listen to that one. I think for me, one of the best tips was around the kind of rejection episode, around providing something regarding to feedback. So obviously we appreciate it's impossible to give feedback to every candidate, but if you can't provide feedback, what can you provide them? Can you provide resources to help candidates practice so they can show up better next time? Can you connect them to someone at your existing company, like another apprentice or graduate who can offer further opportunities or advice or support? Or can you even just provide a nice motivational message that encourages them to keep going? Because lots of the time these bog standard generic rejection emails, they're brutal, they're hurtful, especially if you've invested hours of your time into a business. So really having a think, yes, fine, we get it, you can't give everyone feedback, but that's not an excuse. You have to give something, otherwise that person, your relationship with that candidate is going to be damaged forever. And if you're a consumer brand, that's also going to impact the bottom line of your business, because they're not going to want to shop with you either. So I thought that tip was really important. And then we haven't actually mentioned this, but one of the episodes we also recorded was on ghosting and reneging. So I think one of the key points and tips we made in this one, specifically around interview ghosting, is to remove as much uncertainty from the process as possible. So from the get-go, be super clear on timelines. So when they should expect to hear back from you, what they can expect in interview. If you feel like it's relevant, and again, this was a debate we had, provide the interview questions in advance, or at least provide them some advice to prepare. And you may be listening and thinking, I do this already, no one listens. Well, ask yourself, is that information presented in a way that's consumable for them, right? If you've sent it in really long articles or really hard to read blogs, have a rethink. How can you actually make that information consumable to them, whether that be through videos or audio or whatever? Sometimes it's not that you don't have that information readily available. Sometimes it's too hard to find, or, you know, early careers candidates and young people actually find it really hard to consume. So I think that was a really good top tip. And then also on the kind of reneging front, another top tip we had is, you know, once candidates have accepted, let them know and let them feel valued and appreciated, and remind them of why you actually hired them. So I actually really love this tip that we shared in this episode, but we were saying that everyone loves a freebie, right? How can you bring that excitement and that experience of starting a new job to their house, right? Sending them things that are going to be relevant for their first day, like a notepad, pen, book, or even a little note from a conversation you've had with them or someone on the team has had with them. So thinking of little ways you can excite them and create that delight before they actually join the company are going to, of course, help strengthen that kind of brand loyalty and make sure that they stay with you and they don't pick and choose another offer. And did you have a good example of that? What was something to do with you said that when you started Microsoft, the team you were joining,
No,
the
the
apprentices of the team you were joining, they created like a little hamper for you and they sent it to your house.
So good.
Just something like that, you instantly feel so valued.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Before you've even started.
I was literally so impressed by that.
Yeah, or even like a handwritten note, because no one does those things anymore.
Just about to
yeah,
say
no
that.
one does that. So
Yeah.
I think those were some really, really good tips as well. Holly, do you have any kind of just general takeaways or themes? I know we've spoken a lot about Gen Z. What shall we give as a kind of lasting takeaway to the audience in terms of our thoughts on that?
I think we spoke a lot about the misconceptions of the generations. We also spoke about our predictions for Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting, actually. Didn't we have some that were conflicting on that? I think we did.
Yeah.
So that was really great. So if you're thinking about Gen Alpha already, then go and check that episode out to see what we think will happen. Yeah.
And I think just a main takeaway is, you know, be mindful, check your stereotypes, check your biases, whether we realise it or not. We've all seen those negative news articles about Gen Z that pop up every single day. And whether we realise it or not, those are subconsciously creating thoughts in our minds, which is creating us to have thoughts about an entire generation, age group of people before they walk in the front door, which isn't fair. So keep those biases in check, challenge them, challenge other people, educate your teams, educate your line managers. If you need help doing that, I can help. And
educate yourselves.
I think that's really, really important as well, because unfortunately there are still some people that I speak to, or some in general, most people that I've spoken to in early careers are amazing. You can tell they're really passionate about what they do. You can tell they really care about the people they're working with and the people they want to help and get jobs and succeed. But there have been a few who I have got the impression that they are a little bit caught up by some of those stereotypes, and they do have a little bit of a moan in terms of what grads and apprentices should know or don't know coming into the business, and how managers get annoyed that they have to micromanage them. And it's just like, well, have a think about it, really. There's a reason they've probably never worked before and they have lots of other things going on. So without rambling too much,
that was our key takeaways and highlights from the season. Now we want to know about yours, so please let us know via either the comments, drop us an email, LinkedIn, drop us a message or a comment on one of our posts as to what your key takeaway was from this season, as we'd love to know. Should we move on to chapter 3?
Yep. Let's do a little bit of a quiz. So Holly, I'm going to ask you some questions and let's see if you can get them right. So, first question for you. Which episode was our longest?
TikTok one.
Close.
Okay.
The longest episode was actually the real reasons young people are ghosting you, which we haven't actually mentioned this episode today yet, and that was 49:59, so nearly 50 minutes.
Fair play to us. We had a lot to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had a good answer.
Yeah, literally. Okay, question for you. Which episode was our most listened to? Wrong answers only. Joke.
Well, I know it was one of two. I think it was the episode which we released in September very first, because it was very topical.
Yeah.
Around things
How
you
many
need
was
to
that
cover
one?
with grads and apprentices in the first 30 days. Was I
knew
right?
That was it. You was right.
Okay, next
Things
question.
you need to cover in the first 30 days.
Okay, and next question. How many listens do you think that episode got?
Oh, God. How many listens? 150?
That episode got over 200
Oh,
listens.
that's so good. I'm going to go on the YouTube now. Actually, the first one was good as well, 213. On YouTube, that's the most viewed. The first one, Get to Know Us, is 213 views. But obviously, I'm assuming...
That's only just YouTube.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
took
even
into
looked
account
on
the
Spotify
others.
and stuff.
Okay, question for you. Which is our least listened to episode?
I know the answer to this one.
Go on then.
Don't be offended, babe.
TikTok. Really?
But I think it's just because, like, people just still have a negative connotation of
That's
TikTok
so
for some
weird. I
reason.
don't know why I said... Oh, no, I said it was the longest. Oh, yeah.
It's a great episode. I think people should listen to it. I just think people sometimes see the word TikTok and
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you're missing out.
you are missing out. And finally, my last question to you is, which podcast channel do we have the most listeners
Oh, I think it's
/
YouTube.
subscribers?
YouTube.
Well, actually, shall I rephrase the question? Actually, no. So you said YouTube.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, on YouTube... Well, actually, I haven't actually fully done the data. On Spotify, we have the most... No, on Spotify, we have the most, like, followers.
Okay.
On Spotify, we have, like, double or triple the amount we have on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I've not looked into the data of, like, if people are watching the video or if they're just doing audio only, because I know lots of people, like, listen in the car and stuff.
Can you tell I only listen or watch podcasts on YouTube?
Yeah, and then, but view-wise, it's kind of split. On YouTube, some of our episodes have really high views and some of them have lower, but on Spotify, it's actually more consistent.
Interesting. So people prefer listening then than watching. Well, maybe we should just been an audio-only podcast. Anyway, that's a good learning for us. Right, that is the end of the Q&A.
Hey there, Shoshanna here, just interrupting this episode to tell you about one of the main ways I work with employers. My training programs work with managers, graduates and apprentices to give them the support and tools they need to be confident in their roles. If my expertise sounds like it could be beneficial to your organisation, I'm currently booking work for the next few months. Head to my website at fairyjobmother.co.uk to fill out the contact form and enjoy the rest of this episode. Now, moving on to chapter 4.
Yeah, we've got 9 minutes left, so we better make this swift. Chapter 4, what is next?
Well, shall I go into what's next? First off, we have had an amazing time filming this podcast. We've learned so much, but we are taking a break for Future Talent Talks right now, and we will be picking it up again at some point in 2025, mainly just because thankfully Holly and I are booked and busy, and we don't want to, you know, we want to put out content that we feel really strongly about and is of a really, really high quality. So we don't want to just, we're going to do the podcast and rush it and it not be as good. But yeah, we both have so many ideas of how we could continue this and how we could. So we are ultimately taking a break. So it's goodbye, but not forever.
Goodbye for now. But
goodbye.
You'll see us anyway on LinkedIn. Both of us are, not me at the moment, but in 2025. Very active.
And all the podcast episodes will still be online. So you can re-listen to them. I think lots of them are actually going to be really relevant as the year continues. There's lots of the same themes are going to be popping up and are still going to be relevant. So yeah, we are ultimately taking a break. But with that said, in the hope that we will be picking this up at some point soon, we would actually love to hear from you. What would you like to see from both of us together next?
And please do let us know. We obviously get quite a few listeners so far, which is great. And we want to know what you want from us. We want to hear your feedback.
And I think also one thing I didn't mention in the learnings is it's actually so hard running a podcast because you genuinely don't know who is listening. Right? We
Literally.
see the numbers and no one,
It's so weird.
you don't know who's listening. And I'll like have conversations with people, I'll meet with an employer, and in person I'll be like, oh, I listen to your podcast and I love it. But like, they never, this isn't an attack at anyone, but like, this person has never engaged, this person has never commented, so it's like, you truly don't know who is listening. And sometimes it's quite hard because it's like, you're investing so much time in creating this and putting this out there, and you just don't know if anyone is truly listening or is truly enjoying it. And we've had so many, oh, we love the podcast, but a lot of those conversations have been like, when we've seen those people, we've obviously had, you know, with a decent amount of messages and things, so sometimes it's really hard.
Exactly.
So if you have enjoyed this season, please do let us know. What do you want to hear next from us? You can email us at futuretalenttalks@gmail.com. The email address will be in the show notes on Spotify, YouTube and Apple, or send either one of us a message. Please let us know what you want to hear from us and whether you actually enjoyed the season.
We really appreciate
because
it.
if no one enjoyed it, then we just,
I
you know,
know.
we may just be like, okay, maybe we won't pick it
Yeah.
up. I mean, we want to, but let's see. So yeah, we are ultimately taking a break. And I think on that note, before we end this episode, we do both just want to say
a huge
thank you to everyone that has listened, everyone that has supported us, everyone that has shared.
Because from those that have given us feedback, it has been great.
Everyone that shared a nice message. And I think at the end of the day, you know, it's, at least for me, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve because I really wanted people to get to know me better as part of this. People that already knew who I was, I wanted them to get to know me better, to get to know my value. And I think we've done that essentially. So yeah, it's been
a journey.
It's been a journey.
It's been a ride. We've really enjoyed it. And we also just want to thank you for your time, because these episodes, some of them have been almost 50 minutes. So thank you for your time and investing it in watching us. We really, really appreciate it. And just stay tuned on our LinkedIn, because you don't know what's coming.
Yes. And I'm wishing everyone listening
a very happy Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays
and
a happy new year. And we'll catch you in January.
Thank you for listening to Future Talent Talks. For more tips and insights from me, Holly,
and me, Shoshanna, sign up to our mailing list via the link in the episode show notes and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform. When you subscribe to our podcast, it helps us reach more people and ultimately helps more young people.
Thanks so much.